Sources tell NBC News that the Biden family are now discussing a carefully calculated plan to exit the race.
Biden has COVID. Luckily, he can't spread it because Democrats have been distancing themselves from him since the debate.
Citizens of the United States of America just got one of the biggest shocks of their lives. Just a few months before the presidential election, the current president of the country, Joe Biden, dropped out of the presidential race.
In one of the most monumental political implosions in American history, President Biden has dropped out of the 2024 presidential race.
On the 21st of July, the president dropped this shocker. This obviously came as a surprise to everyone, but you see, what made this issue more interesting is the fact that just 2 days before this huge announcement, Joe Biden assured the whole of America that he was still focused on running and winning the election. But he out of nowhere changed his mind, and his party, the Democratic Party, is now without a candidate for the election, less than a month before the party's convention. Joe Biden's withdrawal has dramatically changed the 2024 election landscape for the party and the whole country, with Vice President Kamala Harris ready to become the Democratic nominee. This sudden change is a huge one, as now the party will be forced to come up with a new strategy and game plan to defeat the Republican candidate and ex-President Donald Trump. This announcement came as a heartbreaker for many Americans, and you can't blame them. Joe Biden is a leader loved by, well, I can't say all, but this man was definitely loved and respected by a lot. His time as president saw a lot of positive changes, from domestic to international issues. For instance, this man passed the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package, helping get over 500 million COVID-19 vaccinations into the arms of Americans.
The United States will purchase an additional 500 million doses from Pfizer that will donate nearly 100 low and lower middle-income countries.
And making a $369 billion investment in climate change through the Inflation Reduction Act. But that's not all. This man with the brilliant American Rescue Plan was able to cut child poverty by 50%. Still, with the American Rescue Plan, this man was able to help Americans with more than 500 million COVID-19 vaccines. We all know how deadly the virus is, and this vaccine came in at a crucial time. If you don't find any of that interesting, get this. This man ended the longest-lasting war in America's history.
We cannot continue the cycle of extending or expanding our military presence in Afghanistan.
He also provided $10,000 to $20,000 in college debt relief to Americans with loans who make under $125,000 a year. Trust me, we can keep going on and on and on and on about Biden's achievements. But let's stop here. That's not the purpose of the video, and there are other things we need to talk about. But before we get into all of that, I want to welcome you to the channel, especially if this is your first time. Please like the video, and in case you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of our videos. Okay, let's get back into the video. You're probably asking, why did Joe Biden take such a radical decision? I mean, he was an ideal president, and he had enough supporters to help him win the election. So why withdraw all of a sudden? Well, you see, a big decision like this definitely has big reasons behind it. So it all started with Biden's first run as president. The thing is, we usually have the wrong idea of what it is like to be president. We think it is just about sitting in your office, drinking tea, signing documents, and occasionally speaking to the citizens. We think it's not that difficult. But I'm here to tell you that being a president is one of the hardest jobs in the history of humanity. It's as physically strenuous as it is mentally demanding. The constant traveling, long hours of meeting that often happen in the middle of the night. By the way, the constant overthinking and planning, all these make the job as physically and mentally tasking as possible. So back to Joe Biden. This man is currently 81 years old. He has successfully completed his first tenure as president of the most complicated country in the world. Is he in the best physical condition to go for it again? Joe Biden asked himself this question, and well, we now know the answer he gave himself. But Biden isn't the only one that asked this question. His health has been a focal point of public discussion and concern. Recent health issues, including a few public stumbles and minor medical procedures, have increased doubts over his fitness and competence for office. Although Biden's team has consistently emphasized his capability and resilience, the narrative surrounding his health has taken a toll on public perception. Voters are increasingly prioritizing candidates who they believe can meet the demands of the presidency, and Biden's age-related concerns have raised questions about his ability to handle the stress of another campaign and term in office. Even the leaders of Biden's party no longer have as much faith in him. In head-to-head matchups against his opponent, the ever-ready Donald Trump, Biden consistently got lost in his head or was in a statistical tie. This only increased the concern among party leaders about his viability as a candidate. As the election approached, pressure increased from influential party figures and donors who feared that Biden's candidacy could jeopardize Democratic chances in key hot states. After making up his mind, Joe Biden took the next step to break the news to the whole of America. President Joe Biden announced his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race in a letter to the American people on July 21, 2024. In his statement, he thanked Americans for the opportunity to serve, and he made it clear that stepping down was in the best interest of both his party and the nation. He also talked about his key achievements during his presidency, such as economic recovery and healthcare expansions, while also endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as his successor. The announcement was made just weeks after a lackluster debate performance and a recent COVID-19 diagnosis, which raised concerns about his fitness for office. Biden's letter was shared widely on social media, signaling a significant shift in the election landscape less than a month before the Democratic convention. Initial reactions varied, with many political figures expressing support for Biden's decision, while others voiced concerns about the implications for the Democratic Party. The announcement has prompted discussions about potential candidates and strategies moving forward, as the party prepares for a competitive election against Donald Trump, who is running again as the Republican nominee. Biden is set to address the nation further on his decision in an upcoming office speech. Not long after his announcement, he went ahead to nominate, or should I say recommend, who should replace him. I'm sure you already know who I'm talking about here, Kamala Harris. She is the current Vice President of America, and one thing is sure, she did a good job assisting Biden lead America. President Joe Biden officially recommended Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee for the upcoming presidential election. During a press conference at the White House, Biden praised Harris's leadership, experience, and dedication to the American people. He expressed confidence in her ability to continue the administration's work and advance their shared vision for the country. He made it clear that making her his vice was one of the best decisions he made as president. Harris responded with gratitude, thanking Biden for his support and pledging to build on their administration's achievements. She emphasized her commitment to addressing key issues such as healthcare, climate change, and social justice. It looked like Harris had been waiting for this opportunity as she outlined a campaign strategy focused on grassroots organizing, coalition building, and engaging with diverse communities across the nation. She plans to mobilize a broad base of support, particularly among young voters and marginalized groups, to secure victory in the general election. Harris's campaign will also focus on countering misinformation and promoting unity amid a polarized political landscape. And that's all for today's video. Joe Biden suddenly pulled out of the race for the presidential election and nominated his vice, Kamala Harris, to take over. But I have a question though. Do you think Harris has what it takes to beat Donald Trump? Let me know what you think in the comments section. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.